Hello. Have you ever felt it? The quiet, chilling paralysis that stops you just before you take the leap, before you start the business, before you ask for the raise, before you have a difficult conversation. It's the feeling of a closed door and the sense that you are on the wrong side of it. We are taught that this feeling is normal. We are told that fear is a natural and necessary part of life, a protective mechanism designed to keep us safe. And to a degree, this is true. But what if the fear you feel today, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear not being enough, is not a protective mechanism at all? What if it's a prison you are actively building with every day you choose to hide? Today we are going to explore a new way of thinking about fear. We are going to apply the fundamental laws of physics to your emotional life, because the universe does not operate on brute force and avoidance. It operates on the principle of resonance, and when you align your life with that simple, elegant law, you will find that you are no longer a victim of your fear. You are the master of it. This is the physics of fear, a system designed to help you stop hiding from your problems and begin to live a life of your own design. Now, to begin, we must understand the nature of the trap. The trap is not a circumstance. It is not an external problem. The trap is a set of invisible, energetic laws that we have been conditioned to follow. It is the law of avoidance, the law of inaction, and the law of a scarcity mindset. When we feel fear, our natural instinct is to run from it. We avoid the difficult conversation. We procrastinate on the big project. We hide from the very things that would set us free. And in doing so, we are not solving the problem. We are amplifying it. We are creating a fear vacuum, a space of emotional emptiness that the universe will inevitably rush to fill with more fear. We are taught that this is the path to security, but the truth is this is the path to a prison built not of brick and mortar, but of limiting beliefs and unconscious habits. The most profound and liberating idea we must understand is this: your life is a system, and as we have learned in our previous videos, you are not a victim of your system. You are the architect of it. The majority of people are running on a default system, a system that was designed by a culture that values safety over growth, consumption over creation, and fitting in over standing out. They are running on a system that was designed to keep them in the trap. But once you understand this, once you see the system for what it is, you can begin to design a new one, a new system for a new reality. The first principle we must understand is the law of resonance. We have touched on this before, but it is the key to mastering fear. In physics, resonance is when an object vibrates at a specific frequency and causes another object to vibrate at the same frequency. It is the reason a tuning fork can make another tuning fork hum without ever touching it. Your life works in the same way. The frequency you are putting out into the world, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, is resonating with your physical reality. When you are in a state of fear, scarcity, and doubt, you are resonating with experiences that match that frequency. When you are in a state of courage, abundance, and possibility, you are resonating with a reality that matches that frequency. This is not about positive thinking. It is about tuning your entire being to the frequency of freedom. But what does that mean? It means you have to embody the courage you want to create. It means you must stop waiting for a lack of fear to show up at your door. And you must start living as if you are already fearless. This is not about faking it until you make it. It is about being it until you become it. A person who is truly fearless does not complain about their circumstances. They do not blame others for their problems. They are not waiting for permission to live their life. They are taking action from a place of possibility. They are living by their own internal laws, not by the laws of the outside world. Think about the feeling of being in a state of flow, a state of complete absorption in an activity. This is the frequency of courage. In this state, time disappears. The struggle melts away. You are in a state of effortless creation. The work that you do in this state is not a burden, it is a source of joy. The reason most people struggle with fear is that they believe it is something you get by doing what you hate, in order to earn the right to do what you love. But the truth is, courage is a state you enter by doing what you love. And in doing so, you create the energy and the resources to live a life of your own design. The second principle we must understand is the principle of least effort. We have discussed this before, and it is a fundamental law of the universe. The most efficient systems are the ones that use the least amount of energy to create the most amount of value. A bolt of lightning does not struggle to find its way to the ground. It simply flows with the path of least resistance. And the same is true for your life. The reason most people struggle with fear is that they are constantly pushing against the current. They are doing things that feel difficult, that feel draining, that feel like a struggle. But the most courageous people in the world are not the ones who work the hardest. They are the ones who have created a system that makes the right choice the most expansive choice, the path of least resistance. So, how do you do this? How do you create a system that makes courage effortless? The answer lies in identifying your unique genius. The one thing you can do that feels like play to you, but looks like work to others. This is your path of least resistance. This is your effortless flow. The reason most people struggle with fear is that they are doing work they hate, work that feels like a struggle, work that is a constant push against the current. But when you find the work that aligns with your unique genius, you will find that you are not just working, you are creating. And when you are creating, you are in a state of effortless flow. Think about the world's most successful creators. A master musician isn't struggling to play. They are in a state of flow. The hours melt away. An entrepreneur who loves solving problems isn't pushing a boulder uphill. They are living their passion. Their work is a form of play, a constant source of energy. Your genius is not something you have to find. It is something you have to honor. It is the work that energizes you, not the work that exhausts you. The path of least resistance is not the path of laziness. It is the path of alignment. It is about creating a life where your most productive, most expansive work is also the work that brings you the most joy. The third principle we must understand is the law of the vacuum. In physics, a vacuum is a space devoid of matter. It is a state of absolute emptiness. But the universe abhors a vacuum. It will rush in to fill any empty space. And the same is true for your life. To receive new things, new money, new opportunities, new relationships, you must first create a vacuum for them. You must release the old to make space for the new. The reason most people struggle with fear is that they are clinging to a state of lack. They are holding on to old beliefs, old habits, and old possessions that are no longer serving them. They have no space for new energy to flow in. Think about it this way. Your cluttered closet has no room for new clothes. Your crowded schedule has no room for new opportunities. And your mind, filled with old fears and doubts, has no room for new expansive ideas. The law of the vacuum is about the power of release. It is about consciously letting go of what no longer serves you. This can be as simple as decluttering your physical space, unsubscribing from email lists that fill you with noise, or as profound as forgiving an old grudge that is holding you back. When you create this intentional void, you are literally signaling to the universe that you are ready for a new reality. You are creating the gravitational pull that will attract new resources and new possibilities into your life. The law of the vacuum is not a passive act. It is a powerful, intentional act of creation through release. The fourth principle we must understand is the quantum observer effect. In quantum physics, a particle can exist in all possible states at once. As a wave of probability, it is only when an observer looks at it that the wave collapses into a single concrete reality. The mere act of observation brings it into existence. This isn't just an interesting scientific quirk. It is a fundamental law of your life. Your attention, your focus, your awareness is the most powerful force in the universe. It is the observer that collapses the wave of all possible realities into the one you experience. The reason most people struggle with fear is that they are constantly observing and focusing on scarcity, on debt, on what they lack. And in doing so, they are collapsing that reality into existence. They are creating the very experience they fear. But what if you chose to focus on abundance? What if you chose to focus on the opportunities that are all around you? What if you chose to focus on the life you are creating? When you choose to focus your attention on courage, You are actively collapsing a new reality into existence. You are not waiting for freedom to show up. You are the observer who is bringing it into being. To truly understand this, imagine your mind is a garden. Your thoughts and feelings are the seeds, and your focused attention is the sunlight and water. Most people spend their lives watering the weeds. The thoughts of doubt, the fears of scarcity are constantly observing and nourishing the things they don't want to grow. But the moment you turn your attention to the seeds of courage, the thoughts of possibility, the feelings of gratitude, you begin to nourish a new reality. You are not creating something out of nothing. You are simply choosing which of the infinite possibilities to give your energy to. The quantum observer effect teaches us that your life is not a fixed thing, it is a dynamic field of potential. And your focused, intentional attention is the very force that sculpts that potential into form. The fifth principle is the law of friction. In the physical world, friction is a force that opposes motion. It's what keeps a car from sliding on ice, and it's what allows you to walk without falling over. It's a necessary force, but in the human experience, we often create unnecessary internal friction, a kind of psychological drag that slows us down and keeps us stuck. This internal friction is fear. It's the resistance you feel just before you take action. The voice that tells you it's too hard, that you aren't ready, that you'll fail. It's not the external friction of the task itself, but the internal friction of your own doubt. The goal is not to eliminate all friction from your life. That's impossible. But to shift it. Your friction should be external, coming from the problem you're solving, not internal, coming from your own mind. How do you do this? You reduce internal friction by taking the path of least resistance and breaking down your goals into smaller, more manageable parts. A blank page is a source of immense friction for a writer, but a single sentence, a single word, the friction is almost zero. The difficult conversation is a source of immense friction. But saying, "Can we talk for 5 minutes about something that's on my mind," has very little friction. When you break a large, intimidating task into its most atomic units, you starve the internal friction of the energy it needs to grow. You make it so simple to start that it becomes harder not to. The key is to start with the smallest possible action that you can take right now. The action is not the point. The point is to create momentum, to shift the energy from a state of resistance to a state of flow. When you do this, you are no longer a victim of your fear. You are the master of it. And finally, let's add one more principle to our system: the law of reciprocity. This is a fundamental law of energy. What you put out, you get back. It's a universal echo. If you live your life from a place of scarcity and hold your energy tightly, the universe will reflect that back to you. But if you live your life from a place of generosity and value, the universe will reflect that back to you in abundance. Freedom is a tool for exchange, and at its core, it is an act of reciprocity. You receive freedom for the value you give to the world, and the more value you give, the more freedom you will receive. This is not a mystical concept, it's a practical life principle. Every great, free life in history has been built on a foundation of massive value. Think about the products and services that have changed the world. They were not created out of a desire for money, but out of a desire to solve a problem, to create a solution, to give something to the world that it desperately needed. When you stop chasing freedom and start chasing value, you will find that freedom begins to chase you. Because you are aligning yourself with the fundamental law of the universe. To receive, you must first give. Your sense of freedom is a direct reflection of the value you provide to the marketplace. So, how do you live by the law of reciprocity? It's not about giving away money you don't have. It's about giving your energy, your ideas, and your unique genius. It's about looking for opportunities to serve others. It's about being the person who is constantly asking, "How can I help?" When you approach your life and your business from this mindset, you are not just working, you are a channel for value. And as a channel, you will find that the energy of freedom begins to flow through you effortlessly. Now, let's bring it all together into a simple 3-step system that you can start using today. This is the practical application of everything we have discussed. Step 1, the energy audit. This is not just about writing down your activities. It's a deep, honest reflection on your entire life. For a full week, carry a small notebook or use a note-taking app on your phone. Every hour, or at the very least a few times a day, make a note of what you are doing and how it makes you feel. Does it energize you or drain you? Be ruthlessly honest. The act of simply observing your energy will give you an incredible amount of clarity. You will see, with undeniable data, where you are wasting your most valuable asset. For a person with a fixed mindset, this exercise can be painful, as it will highlight areas of struggle and procrastination. But for a person with a growth mindset, it's a powerful tool for self-awareness and improvement. It is the first necessary step toward true change. Step 2. The energy reinvestment. Now that you have the data from your audit, you can act with precision. And this is the step where you consciously redirect your energy from low-leverage, draining activities to high-leverage, energizing activities. Make a list of 3 to 5 things that drain you the most, e.g., mindlessly scrolling social media, watching negative news, complaining about your job. Now make a list of 3 to 5 high-leverage activities that align with your genius and your goals. Learning a high-income skill, creating a new product, networking with people you admire. Your goal is to consciously replace the low-leverage activities with the high-leverage ones. If you spend 30 minutes a day scrolling, reinvest that 30 minutes into learning a new skill. If you spend an hour a day commuting, use that time to listen to an educational podcast. You are not creating more time. You are simply reallocating your existing energy in a way that compounds your future potential. This is not about being busy. It's about being incredibly intentional with every single moment. Step 3. The compounding ritual. This is the most important step in the entire process. You cannot have a massive result without a small, consistent ritual. So, find one thing you can do every single day to move your life forward. This isn't about massive, grand gestures. It's about a single, simple, non-negotiable habit. Maybe it's writing 100 words for a book you're writing. Maybe it's a single push-up. Maybe it's reading 1 page of a book. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it is something you can do consistently, without fail. Because when you do that one thing over and over and over again, you are not just taking an action. You are creating a flow. You are building a momentum that becomes unstoppable. And when you are in a state of flow, you are not just working, you are creating at your highest level. This is the ritual that transforms potential into reality. The lie is that you need to be busy to be productive. The truth is you need to be intentional. You need to be strategic. You need to understand that your energy is your most valuable asset. And when you learn to manage that asset with the precision of a physicist, you will find that you are no longer pushing against the current. You are flowing with it. You are no longer working hard. You are working smart. And you are no longer just a passive observer in your life. You are the master of it. This is the fundamental shift from seeing freedom as a battle to be won, to seeing it as a flow to be entered. The universe, in its very nature, seeks the path of least resistance. And when you align your actions with that fundamental principle, you will find that the goals you once thought were impossible begin to manifest with a sense of natural, elegant ease. So let's stop being victims of our own exhaustion. Let's stop believing the lie that freedom is a grueling, endless battle. Let's start embracing the truth that freedom is a joyful dance. It's about finding the path of least resistance. It's about being intentional with our energy. It's about knowing that when we are in a state of effortless flow, we are not just more productive, we are more fulfilled. The most successful people are not the ones with the most willpower. They are the ones who have created a system that makes the right choice the easy choice. They have made the path to their goals the path of least resistance. They have learned how to manage their energy with the precision of a physicist. And in doing so, they have unlocked a level of productivity that the average person can only dream of. And it is not magic. It is simply the application of a fundamental law of the universe.